Hi guys. I'm just watching a bit of South Park, so I'll better turn that off. It's sometimes you watch that show, I mean, those guys are crazy, but it's very entertaining. I find the show very entertaining. Anyway, hi again, welcome. It's been a little while since my last update, but I thought I'd just keep in touch. If you're aware, there's lots of things going on. There's a lot of things going on with oil. I thought oil might come back a little bit sharply, but interestingly enough, it's still hanging there. I think oil is still trading at the moment $136 a barrel, believe it or not. So you're driving to work and you're having to fill up, and it's probably costing you 20, 30, 35% more, and you're actually noticing it, and it's probably burning you in the hip pocket. The Dow last night, I think the Dow's back down to 12,029, down 131 points overnight. Oh, I mean, like I said a couple of weeks back, the Dow probably will come back and retest those January and the March lows. It looks like that's pretty much in order. But there is so many important things that are developing, and you will see a lot of other people. I mean, I've been into a couple of forums and just traveling around a little bit, and it's interesting to see that there is a large following to this sort of new truth and what is really happening with the economy and how the economy is down spiraling. Let's go back to around about April when you'll see basically the media was telling a whole bunch of porcupines. They were telling lies, and I have been telling a lot of people how these lies and manipulation are spreading, and it's basically still holding the market up. I expect a lot more of it, but you'll find that a lot of people are still listening to the media. There's a lot of people that wake up in the morning, have their breakfast, go to work, do the 9 to 5, come home, have their dinner, go to sleep, and do it all again. Now, obviously, if you're one of these type of people, I mean, you do have to make a living, you do have to pay the bills, and that's quite okay. But you have to think there is more to this at the moment, because everything that is happening financially is going to affect you whether you like it or not. The thing for me is there's a lot of stuff that is really going on behind the scenes. I've been in the market for a long time. I've been trading 6, 7, probably 8 years now. You will find that there are lots of things that go on, and I do a lot of chart analysis myself. I purely go off the charts. The charts never lie. And the people that do lie is all your main newsfeed, and they're basically telling you a bunch of lies. For me, I've actually done some advanced studies in body language and things of that nature, and you can tell when these guys are actually sitting there in front of the camera, and you'll see as they're reading out the news and they're giving their own interpretations on things, they'll give little twitches or little hints, and their eyes will sort of go around the place, and it's a classic sign they're telling lies. They're telling a bunch of lies, but still people listen to them. And let's go back to April of this year. Now, what happened in April? The market had come down, and people were saying, "Oh my God, this is going to be the crash." But that wasn't the case. We did have a big correction. We had a big correction in an upwards movement. Now, in a bear market, there's nothing to actually say you won't actually have some big upward movements and some big downward movements, and this is the case. So a lot of people out there are trying to trade this market, and they're getting caught out. But at the moment, according to what I have been doing and my theories and a lot of my research, I spend a lot of time researching and overlapping different charts, and you'll actually find, I mean, I probably should do a video on this, but you'll find that the bear market, which occurred in 1968 to 1969, was a very major bear market. If you overlap that chart with the Dow Jones and what's happening at the moment, it is following it exactly. So with that entail, and with a historical point of view, I do believe in the whole saying that history does repeat itself, and it seems to be following a critical point and some critical turning points in a historical market back in the 68 to 60. There was a big correction in 69, and I do believe that we will probably follow this. I'm not saying that it is a definite guarantee, but you'll see that with what's happening now in the credit markets, it's going to be very interesting what happens from here on in, meaning July, August, September, and throughout the year. And I guess there's a lot of things that I could go into, but I basically want to move on, because the next thing that I have right now, it's very special. And for the truth, on these sorts of matters, the financial matters and the economy matters, in stock market in general, but what I'll give you now is very interesting. Someone has notified me that in technical terms, the Royal Bank of Scotland has put out a news feed. This is only in probably the last couple of days. I'd probably say the last 24 hours. So it's pretty much hot off the press. And for you guys, if you're not aware of such things, I wanted to read out a few quotes from the news feed. So as I read it out, just bear with me, and I'll give you just a pretty much a rundown of what the Royal Bank of Scotland has been saying and has been advising a lot of their clients of what is coming. Here's one of the quotes from the news feeds that I have read. I think this was online about a day or so ago. The Royal Bank of Scotland has advised clients to brace for a full-fledged crash in global stock and credit markets over the next 3 months. This is while inflation paralyzes the major central banks. A very nasty period is soon to be upon us, and I quote, "Be prepared." And then it basically goes on about some of the financial analysts there saying their spill on things. Then it goes on to say, a report by the bank's research team warns that the S&P 500 in America, US, S&P 500 index of Wall Street equities is likely to fall by more than 300 points and around 1,050 by September, with contagion spreading across Europe and all the emerging markets. Now that's pretty major stuff. I have my own opinions on this. I won't go into that right now. But the next statement that they said, and remember this, like I said, is the Royal Bank of Scotland and their top advisors there, and I quote, "Such a slide on world bourses would amount to one of the worst bear markets we have had in over the last century." I'll read that again. Such a slide on world bourses would amount to one of the worst bear markets and periods that we have had in the last century. So in the last 100 years, they're predicting that what is going to happen in 2008 is going to basically wipe out what's happened in the last 100 years. Now, for me, that's pretty major stuff, and it just gives you a little bit of indication of when these media people and a lot of the media analysts out there are saying, this credit crisis is over, blah blah blah. There's no way it's over. And the Fed are basically in this facade, and they're just casually walking around. Ben Bernanke sitting there going rah 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 rah, very nervous in his speeches, I must add. But behind the scenes, you must know that the Fed is in complete panic mode, and there's some people saying that they've been planning this for years and such yada yada yada. But I think, and that'll give us a combination of more tension and give us more sell-offs on the market. But for now, like I said, I keep expecting there's going to be lots of volatility in the market. We haven't seen this sort of volatility for many, many, many years, and there's still going to be those big upswings, big upward swings, big downward swings, and that's going to continue eventually until a point this year in 2008 where the bottom falls out, and you will see a major sell-off on the market. It's not a matter of if it will happen, it's only a matter of when it will happen. I know I get a lot of questions. You can email me at financial911@gmail.com. I will have some other videos to help people to prepare, because it's getting pretty tight out there. So I guess in general, all I really want to do is help people. I don't want to see people in any hardship. I don't want to see people suffer in any sort of way, and it's in my best interest to help you guys out, and for you guys to help each other out and myself. So anyway, just a quick update there. I want to say arrivederci to all. I'm heading overseas for a few weeks, so I probably won't be back here for a little bit. I want to wish you all the best of luck through these hard times, and I will keep in touch. Okay, have a great day, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.